Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the greatest mysteries of human history, the Garden of Eden. Was it truly a paradise, or have we misunderstood its origins all along? Ancient Sumerian texts may hold the key to unraveling the truth about humanity's beginnings, the gods who shaped us, and the hidden history that mainstream narratives rarely explore. From lost civilizations to the possibility of genetic manipulation, this is a journey that challenges everything we thought we knew. If you're fascinated by ancient history, forbidden knowledge, and the mysteries of our past, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on all our latest explorations. Now let's unlock the secrets of Eden together. Understanding where we come from is essential for shaping the future. If our perception of history is based on incomplete or distorted information, these misconceptions will continue to shape our worldview, influencing not only our beliefs, but also the trajectory of human civilization. The past is not just a distant memory, it is the foundation upon which we build our present and future. To fully grasp the forces that shape the modern world, we must delve into the ancient past, specifically the birthplace of civilization itself, Sumer. This long-lost civilization, located in what is now modern-day Iraq, is widely regarded as the cradle of human civilization. It was in Sumer that the first known written language, organized religion, scientific advancements, and even warfare emerged. The influence of Sumer extends far beyond archaeology. It shaped the mythologies and religious traditions that continue to influence billions of people today. From the towering ziggurats of Ur to the intricate cuneiform tablets buried beneath the sands, Sumer holds the key to understanding humanity's earliest recorded history. One of the most enduring mysteries tied to Sumer is the true location and nature of the Garden of Eden. While many believe this biblical paradise was a place of innocence and divine harmony, ancient Sumerian texts may reveal an entirely different story, one that challenges traditional religious interpretations and suggests a far more complex and unsettling reality. Could the Garden of Eden have been something entirely different from what we've been led to believe? Were humans created for a divine purpose? Or were we mere workers serving the interests of an advanced race? By decoding ancient Sumerian writings, we may uncover shocking truths about our origins, truths that have been buried for thousands of years. The search for Eden is not just a quest for a mythical location, it is a search for the truth about humanity itself. And as we peel back the layers of ancient history, we may find that the real story of Eden is far more profound and far more unsettling than we ever imagined. The idea that the Garden of Eden was located in Mesopotamia is deeply embedded in both religious and historical narratives. Biblical scholars and early archaeologists often fixated on the region surrounding the Tigris and Euphrates rivers as the probable location of humanity's first home. In the 1920s, British archaeologist Sir Leonard Woolley set out to find evidence of the Garden of Eden, hoping to validate biblical accounts. However, instead of Eden, Woolley uncovered the ancient city of Ur, one of the earliest known Sumerian settlements. Yet, this was not the first time scholars sought to connect Sumerian history with biblical accounts. In 1849, Henry Layard conducted excavations at the site of Sippar and unearthed thousands of cuneiform tablets, among which several contained references to a paradise-like garden. Could this be evidence of Eden, or was it just another clue pointing elsewhere? Interestingly, the civilizations that succeeded the Sumerians, the Assyrians and Babylonians, highly revered Sumerian culture, preserving and translating their texts. Without these later translations, much of Sumerian history would remain a mystery, as the language itself is an isolate, unrelated to any known linguistic family. The notion that the Garden of Eden resided in Mesopotamia is a cornerstone of both religious and historical traditions. Biblical scholars and early archaeologists, driven by a desire to find physical evidence of scriptural narratives, frequently focused on the region surrounding the Tigris and Euphrates rivers as the most likely location of humanity's primordial home. This area, often referred to as the cradle of civilization, held a certain mystique, a sense of ancient beginnings that resonated with the Eden story. In the 1920s, the renowned British archaeologist Sir Leonard Woolley embarked on excavations in Mesopotamia, fueled by the hope of uncovering tangible proof of the Garden of Eden. His expedition, however, yielded something quite different. Instead of Eden, Woolley unearthed the ancient city of Ur, a prominent Sumerian settlement dating back millennia. Ur, with its impressive ziggurats and complex social structure, provided a rich tapestry of early human civilization, but it didn't match the idyllic image of Eden. This discovery, while significant in its own right, further complicated the search for the mythical garden. Woolley's work wasn't the first attempt to link Sumerian history with biblical accounts. Decades earlier, in 1849, Henry Layard conducted excavations at the site of Sippar, another ancient Mesopotamian city. Layard's team unearthed thousands of cuneiform tablets, clay tablets inscribed with the wedge-shaped characters of the Sumerian writing system. Among these tablets, some contained references to a paradisiacal garden, a place of abundance and beauty. These tantalizing clues sparked further debate. Could this be the fabled Eden, or were these simply descriptions of earthly gardens, misinterpreted over time? The ambiguity of the texts only deepened the mystery. The connection between Sumerian civilization and the biblical narrative is further complicated by the fact that Sumerian culture profoundly influenced the civilizations that followed it, the Assyrians and the Babylonians. These later empires held Sumerian culture in high regard, meticulously preserving and translating Sumerian texts. This act of cultural preservation proved crucial, as the Sumerian language was an isolate, unrelated to any other known language family. Without these later translations, our understanding of Sumerian history, religion and mythology would be severely limited, and the potential clues to the Eden narrative within those texts might have remained forever inaccessible. This chain of cultural transmission from Sumerians to Assyrians and Babylonians adds another layer of complexity to the search for Eden, hinting at a shared cultural heritage and the potential for shared myths and legends. It suggests that the story of Eden, or at least the inspiration for it, might have originated in Sumer and been passed down and adapted through generations. Anton Parks, a researcher specializing in Sumerian translations, argues that for centuries, scholars have been misinterpreting these ancient texts. According to his analysis, the Garden of Eden described in Sumerian records is vastly different from the idyllic paradise portrayed in the Bible. The term Eden, Parks suggests, is derived from the Sumerian words E, home, and Din, life. However, rather than a utopian garden, the texts describe a place where human beings were subjugated and forced into labor. The Sumerian gods, known as the Anunna, appear to have created humans as workers, treating them as little more than animals. In contrast to the biblical portrayal, the Sumerian version of Eden resembles a highly controlled labor colony, rather than a paradise of abundance and freedom. Further supporting this theory, the term paradise originates from the Greek paradisos, which means enclosure for wild animals. Over time, this term was reinterpreted as garden during the Hellenistic period, further distorting the original meaning. The traditional image of the Garden of Eden is one of serene beauty, a lush paradise where humanity lived in harmony with nature and the divine. However, a closer examination of ancient Sumerian texts, as interpreted by researchers like Anton Parks, paints a drastically different picture. Instead of a utopian garden, these texts suggest that Eden might have been more akin to a highly organized and potentially oppressive work camp. Parks's analysis of Sumerian etymology offers a compelling reinterpretation of the term Eden. He proposes that it derives from the Sumerian words E, home, and Din, life, suggesting a more literal translation of home of life, rather than the idyllic paradise we envision. This home of life, according to Parks, was not a place of leisure and abundance, but rather a place of labor, where humans were created and employed by the Anunna, the Sumerian gods. The Sumerian texts describe humans toiling, performing various tasks for the Anunna, suggesting a relationship of servitude rather than one of divine companionship. This interpretation is further supported by the etymology of the word paradise itself. While we now associate it with lush gardens and blissful existence, the word originates from the Greek paradeisos, which initially meant enclosure for wild animals. This original meaning hints at a controlled environment, a place where beings were kept and managed, rather than a place of freedom and natural abundance. Over time, particularly during the Hellenistic period, the meaning of paradeisos shifted, acquiring the connotation of a garden, which subsequently influenced our understanding of Eden. This evolution in meaning may have significantly distorted our perception of the original concept. The Sumerian texts, therefore, present a stark contrast to the biblical narrative. Instead of Adam and Eve enjoying the fruits of a bountiful garden, they are depicted as workers, created for the specific purpose of serving the Anunna. This interpretation casts a new light on the story of creation, suggesting that humanity's origins might be rooted in servitude rather than divine favor. The mystical, ancient vibes associated with Eden take on a darker hue, transforming the paradise into a place of forced labor and potentially even control. The image of humans as mere tools for the gods challenges the traditional narrative of a loving creator and raises profound questions about the nature of our relationship with the divine, as perceived by the ancient Sumerians. It suggests a hierarchical structure where humans were not partners with the gods but rather their subjects, bound to their will and labor. In the Sumerian accounts, two primary deities stand at the center of the Eden story, Enki and Enlil. Enki, often associated with wisdom and trickery, is depicted as a protector of humanity. He is believed to have played a crucial role in modifying human genetics, possibly even granting them higher intelligence. Enlil, on the other hand, is portrayed as a strict and authoritarian ruler who sees humans as mere tools for the gods. Park's translations suggest that Enki secretly enhanced human genetics, allowing them to develop beyond their intended purpose as obedient workers. This defiance led to a schism among the gods, culminating in a celestial conflict. Some researchers, such as Greg Braden, have even connected these ancient accounts to modern genetic mysteries, particularly human chromosome number 2, which appears to have been artificially fused in a manner unexplained by natural evolution. Could this be evidence of the genetic manipulation described in the Sumerian texts? Within the Sumerian pantheon, two deities, Enki and Enlil, occupy prominent positions, and their interactions play a crucial role in the Sumerian account of creation and humanity's place in the cosmos. These figures, often described as gods, might be interpreted through a more modern lens as something akin to advanced beings, perhaps even genetic engineers, whose influence shaped the very fabric of human existence. Enki, often associated with wisdom, water, and crafts, is portrayed as a benevolent figure, a protector, and even a benefactor of humanity. He is credited with numerous acts of creation and innovation, and importantly, he is believed to have played a pivotal role in the modification of human genetics. According to some interpretations of the Sumerian texts, Enki's interventions may have been responsible for granting humans higher intelligence, potentially sparking a cognitive leap that distinguished them from other creatures. This interpretation suggests that Enki's actions weren't merely acts of divine creation, but rather deliberate genetic manipulation, a form of bioengineering that altered the course of human evolution. Enlil, on the other hand, is depicted as a more austere and authoritarian figure. He is often associated with the air, storms, and kingship, and he is portrayed as a strict ruler who views humans primarily as a workforce for the gods. Enlil's perspective contrasts sharply with Enki's, as he seems to prioritize obedience and service over human development. This difference in perspective led to conflict between the two deities, a celestial schism that had profound implications for humanity. The tension between Enki and Enlil can be interpreted as a struggle over the destiny of humankind. Enki's alleged genetic enhancements, which may have granted humans greater awareness and potential, were seen as a challenge to Enlil's authority. This conflict culminated in a series of events that are often paralleled with the biblical narrative of the Fall of Man. However, instead of a simple tale of disobedience and punishment, the Sumerian version suggests a more complex power dynamic, where human potential became a battleground between powerful, possibly extraterrestrial or highly advanced beings. Some researchers, like Greg Braden, have drawn connections between these ancient accounts and modern genetic mysteries. He points to the unusual structure of human chromosome number 2, which appears to be the result of a fusion of two separate chromosomes. This fusion, which cannot be easily explained by natural evolutionary processes, has led some to speculate that it might be evidence of the kind of genetic manipulation described in the Sumerian texts. While this remains a controversial area of research, it raises intriguing questions about the possibility of external influence on human evolution, suggesting that our genetic makeup might be the result of deliberate intervention rather than purely random mutation and natural selection. The mystical, ancient vibes surrounding these stories blend with the cutting edge of modern genetics, creating a fascinating, if unsettling, possibility. that our origins are not entirely what we have been led to believe. One of the most striking parallels between the Sumerian and biblical narratives is the rebellion of humanity. In the Sumerian texts, humans, after gaining knowledge from Enki, rise up against their divine overlords. The revolt fails, and the gods punish the surviving rebels, reinforcing their control over human civilization. This rebellion bears a resemblance to the biblical Fall of Man, in which the serpent, often associated with Enki, tempts Eve with forbidden knowledge. Enlil, possibly the basis for the biblical Yahweh, punishes humanity for acquiring this wisdom, casting them out of Eden. However, if we accept Parks's interpretation, this story is less about moral transgression and more about the struggle for autonomy against a controlling power. The word Adam, often thought to have Hebrew roots, is actually of Sumerian origin and translates to animal, reinforcing the idea that humans were considered little more than livestock by the gods. Similarly, the term Satan, which later evolved into the concept of an evil adversary, originally comes from the Sumerian Satam, meaning administrator or overseer. In this light, the biblical Satan may not have been a malevolent entity, but rather a governing force controlling humanity's fate. The story of the fall of man in the Bible narrates humanity's transgression against divine will, resulting in expulsion from the Garden of Eden and the introduction of suffering into the world. However, when viewed through the lens of Sumerian texts, this narrative takes on a significantly different meaning. The Sumerian accounts suggest that the fall wasn't a singular act of disobedience, but rather a complex struggle for autonomy against powerful overlords. In the Sumerian narratives, humans, after receiving a boost in intelligence and awareness, possibly through Enki's genetic manipulations, began to question their role as mere servants of the Anunna. This newfound knowledge sparked a rebellion, a collective effort by humanity to break free from their divinely imposed servitude. The rebellion, however, was ultimately unsuccessful. The Anunna, possessing superior power and technology, quelled the uprising and punished the surviving rebels. This suppression of human autonomy forms the core of the Sumerian fall narrative. This interpretation casts the biblical serpent, often associated with temptation and evil, in a new light. In the Sumerian context, the figure corresponding to the serpent might be seen as an ally of humanity, perhaps even Enki himself, who sought to empower humans with knowledge and agency. The forbidden fruit then becomes symbolic of this forbidden knowledge, the spark of awareness that ignited the human rebellion. It wasn't necessarily a literal fruit, but rather the understanding of their own potential and the desire for self-determination. The punishment meted out by the Anunna, which parallels the biblical expulsion from Eden, wasn't necessarily a divine curse for moral transgression, but rather a strategic move to maintain control. By limiting human access to certain knowledge or technologies, the Anunna ensured their continued dominance. This interpretation paints a less benevolent picture of the gods, suggesting that their motivations were rooted in self-preservation and the maintenance of their power structure. The connection between the Sumerian and biblical narratives becomes even more intriguing when examining the etymology of certain key terms. The name Adam, traditionally believed to have Hebrew origins, is suggested to derive from the Sumerian Adamu, meaning animal. This reinforces the idea that, in the eyes of the Anunna, humans were initially considered little more than livestock, created for labor. Similarly, the term Satan, which evolved into the concept of a malevolent adversary, originates from the Sumerian Satam, meaning administrator or overseer. This suggests that the biblical Satan might not have been an inherently evil entity, but rather a representative of the Anunna, responsible for managing and controlling the human population. These linguistic connections hint at a shared historical and mythological context, suggesting that the biblical story of the fall might be a later adaptation of the Sumerian narrative, reinterpreted through a different cultural and religious lens. The mystical, ancient vibes of the Sumerian story, with its themes of rebellion, genetic manipulation, and power struggles, offer a compelling alternative to the traditional interpretation of humanity's origins, challenging our assumptions about the nature of good and evil, and the relationship between humans and the divine. The rewriting of history is not a new concept. Throughout time, religious institutions and political structures have shaped historical narratives to maintain authority. If the story of Eden was deliberately altered to serve a specific agenda, it raises profound questions about the origins of modern belief systems. The idea that humanity was created as a subservient species is unsettling, yet it aligns with themes found in various mythologies and even modern science fiction. Consider the parallels with AI development today. Just as we create intelligent machines to serve us, could the Anunna have created humans for a similar purpose? If so, did they underestimate human potential, much like some AI theorists warn we might with artificial intelligence? Graham Hancock and other alternative historians argue that our true history has been obscured, leaving us trapped in a cycle of misinformation. If we could recover the lost knowledge of our origins, might we also reclaim control over our future? The idea that the story of Eden and potentially other foundational narratives might have been deliberately altered or manipulated to serve specific agendas has profound implications for how we understand our past and our present. If the Sumerian interpretations are correct, it raises the unsettling question: are we living in a controlled narrative, one that has been carefully curated to maintain a certain power structure? Throughout history, religious institutions and political powers have often shaped historical narratives to legitimize their authority and influence. The rewriting or selective omission of historical facts is a well-documented phenomenon. If the story of Eden, a cornerstone of Western religious tradition, was indeed modified to downplay the possibility of human rebellion against powerful overlords, it begs the question: what other stories have been similarly altered? What other truths have been obscured or buried to maintain control? The notion that humanity might have been created as a subservient species, designed for labor and controlled by a more advanced race, is deeply unsettling. Yet this theme resonates with various mythologies around the world and even finds echoes in contemporary science fiction. Consider the parallels with the development of artificial intelligence. We create intelligent machines to serve our needs, and some theorists warn about the potential dangers of creating AI that surpasses our own intelligence. Could the Anunna have created humans for a similar purpose, perhaps underestimating our potential for growth and rebellion, just as we might underestimate the potential of AI? This line of thinking raises uncomfortable questions about our place in the universe and our relationship with any potential higher powers. If we were indeed engineered for servitude, what does that mean for our free will and our destiny? Are we truly masters of our own fate, or are we still operating within a framework designed by others? Alternative historians like Graham Hancock argue that our true history has been deliberately obscured, leaving us trapped in a cycle of misinformation. He suggests that the recovery of lost knowledge, including a deeper understanding of ancient texts and civilizations, is crucial for breaking free from this cycle. If we could uncover the full story of our origins, including the potential genetic manipulations and the rebellion against the Anunna, might we also reclaim control over our future? Might we rediscover the lost potential that was suppressed by those who sought to control us? This search for lost knowledge becomes not just an academic exercise, but a quest for liberation, a way to reclaim our heritage and chart a new course for humanity. The mystical, ancient vibes of this quest intertwine with a very modern yearning for truth and autonomy, suggesting that the answers we seek might lie not just in the past, but also in our collective will to shape a different future. The search for the Garden of Eden is not just a quest for a physical location, it is a search for truth. Whether or not it ever existed as described in religious texts, the themes it represents, knowledge, control, and human potential, remain relevant today. If we accept the possibility that history has been manipulated, then our responsibility is to question, explore, and seek answers beyond the official narratives. Whether through archaeology, genetics, or ancient texts, the clues to our past are still out there, waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps the Garden of Eden was never a paradise at all. Perhaps it was a prison. But if we can decode its secrets, we may finally understand the true origins of humanity, and more importantly, where we are meant to go next.